That's a good one. I could go up there. They didn't have it. They said, oh, Tuesday morning. So I got it. That's the next delivery.
I tried it for the last year. It was like one of the choices that I could do. And it
I forgot all about it, but I saw her a couple of weeks ago. And she said, you're going to get orange.
yeah, I need to send them a text.
Yeah, that's good.
Let it go.
Just to make sure the room's right. I just want to make sure you guys are balanced because we moved the stands a little bit from before. Yeah, because I can't. I have to run all the way back there to change it. Okay. Yeah. Just stand where you're gonna. Okay. Yeah, the idea is just to like. Remember where your distance from the microphone right now, and then when you go.
I have to begin to keep it out. Now the people are from the
That's exactly. That makes sense. Just keep it right.
Okay, yeah, just keep it right.
Maybe it's all this.
I wrote on my music.
We
Get in
brought an
order.
extra copy, and this is like late.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get another stand, so I'm going to put it on. I'm going to grab a stand for this. Yeah, so I'll have an extra yeah, that's why I already and I said,
She got us nice.
so I said I'm going to grab my
Yeah, no, I think we're getting so close to the time now that it's
because at the end of
it's giving me
It's not Catskill, but it's all good.
we were like in Canada.
Joe?
Sure.
So, I went through another set. And then ordered it from Amazon and had to get the fish.
Are we okay?
No, we never
I think it's fine. You guys can keep it. Oh, what do we got?
No, this is,
Did you shoot two today?
I was able to get his medicine from like I don't take his medicine.
We're playing it with just like maybe like 2 more notes and then
Good Yontif. This time, as we begin our holiest of days, Yom Kippur, I would like to invite Jill Spector up to our bima to light our candles.
For many years, Rochelle Wanger has lit the candles for Yom Kippur. As the Wangers are avoiding crowds out of the abundance.
Jill, if you could please talk into the microphone. Thank you.
He's the public speaker of our family. Thank you. For many years, Rochelle Wanger has lit the candles on Yom Kippur. As the Wangers are avoiding crowds out of abundance of caution for their health, I have the honor of filling in for Rochelle this year. On behalf of our community, I want to recognize the wonderful contributions the Wangers have made for decades to our synagogue, and thank Rochelle personally for being a mentor that she's been as a Rebbitzin, and wish them virtually a good Gemar Hatima Tova for this holiest of days. We hope you can be here in person with us next year.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik sheyom hakippurim.
Light is sown for the righteous, and joy for those whose hearts are true. By the authority of the court on high, and by the authority of this court below, with divine consent, and with the consent of this congregation, we grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed. I would like to call our confirmation students from last year who are here to please go onto our bema and open our ark. And as the ark is open, I'll invite you to please rise.
ישיבה של מעלה וישיבה של מטה על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל אנו מתירים להתפלל עם העבר ימים.
Page 205. Sing perhaps the most moving song in our tradition, one that our service is named for this evening, Kol Nidre.
It's okay.
אסרב וחרומי וקונמי וכינויי וכינוסי וחרומי וקונמי וכינויי וכינוסי
formulas of obligation, pledges, and promises that we vow to promise to ourselves and to God from this Yom Kippur to the next. May it approach us for good. We hereby retract. May they all be undone, repealed, canceled, voided, annulled, and regarded as neither valid nor binding. Our vows shall be considered vows. Shall not be considered vows. Our renunciations shall not be considered renunciations. Our promises shall not be considered promises. You all may return. Thank you, past presidents, to our board members, last year's confirmation students. So, say some words of welcome. I'll invite you to sit for just a minute. Let me switch this over, please. Kuyantif. As we begin this Day of Atonement, I would like to begin by atoning on behalf of myself and our synagogue. I'm so proud of the holy work we do and how we make an effort to have everyone who walks into our building feel as though they are loved and that they belong here. However, sometimes, even with our best intentions and efforts, we fall short. Over the past year, I have heard from people who felt like their suggestions were dismissed, who were not emailed or called back promptly, and who were not properly thanked after volunteering or donating. There have been people who asked if this was the right place for them because they saw us, a nonpartisan synagogue, as too left-wing or too right-wing. I've had Jews of color who've told me that when they've come into our synagogue, they've gotten questioning looks about their Judaism, that they wonder if they would have gone if they were Ashkenazi. And one young Jewish teen who told me that they didn't feel this was the right place for them after having one of their teachers accidentally use wrong pronouns over and over again for that student's gender identity. There have been times that I could have done better following up with bereaved and sick individuals in our community. I've had folks who have told me that they have felt overlooked for not being big donors, and others who have wondered if we value them for more than just their donations. We had a wonderful, beautiful, special, incredible 50th anniversary gala where we commemorated our past, present, and future. One regret, though, that I have is I wish that I had done a better job acknowledging people who came before me, who I maybe didn't know personally, but whose names I certainly do, because without them, we wouldn't be the wonderful community that we are today. Folks like Erwin Berry or Sam Shapiro or Ralph, Fred, and Irene Tannenbaum, Bert Spiegel, Abe Gus, and so many others who deserved to be recognized. There were times that I know in my rabbinic life and personal life that I did not carry myself in the way that you or I would expect of our rabbi and our community's appointed moral exemplar. Again, every day, I'm shouting from our no longer leaking rooftops about what an incredible, special synagogue Congregation Kol Nidre is. But on this Yom Kippur, I want to begin the holiday by taking a moment to acknowledge that maybe we're the best synagogue in the country, but we're still far from being the perfect synagogue. And I know that we and I can do better, and that we are still a work in progress. For those of you who have felt hurt by me or your community this past year in these ways or others that I haven't even mentioned, please know how sorry I am and how much I value you and how much that I value that you're here. We are going to begin our worship service on page 207 with the Baruch. I will invite you to please rise.
Aruch
like to call up Rebecca Levine. Is Rebecca here somewhere? Rebecca, are you here? There you are, Rebecca. Come on up. I'm glad to see Rebecca. Uh-oh, she's stuck in traffic. There we go.
Baruch atah Adonai, our God, ruler of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of sessions and arranges the stars in the places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk.
תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני. ברוך שמו. אמרי וערבים.
Page 208, Hava Olam.
Ahavat olam, with everlasting love, hast thou loved
continue with the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Continue silently on page 209.
אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם
Page 210. Once more, Atonement Day has come, all pretense gone, naked heart revealed to the hiding self. We stand on holy ground, between the day that was and the one that must be. We tremble. Will the errors in our past teach us to walk in straighter paths? May we still dream of a time when love and truth shall meet, justice and peace shall embrace. Hope of Israel, in our weakness give us strength. In our blindness be our guide. When we falter, hold our hand. Make consistent our impulse for good. Let us know the joy of walking in your ways. as the children of Israel once were able to do at the sea. May we sing like them. Mi chamocha ba'elim, who is like you among the mighty.
Malchuto beratzon, קיבלו עליהם, משה ומרים ובני ישראל, לכנו שירה, ושמחה רבה, ויאמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים,
Adonai, mi kavod kodesh,
מלכותך ראו בניך, בו כי הים לפני משה. זה אלי אנו ויאמרו ונאמר כי פדדנו את יעקב ויעלום יד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני ברוך שמו גל ישראל
Turn to the Hashki Venu on page 211. Page 212. For on this day of atonement shall be made for you to purify you from all your transgressions. In the presence of Adonai, you shall be pure. For the silent Amidah on page 213 and pray silently on our own for page 221, or you can use this as an opportunity for your own prayers and thoughts and meditations. And when you are finished, you may be seated.
please continue praying at your own pace. We will continue with the choir on page 221, Ye You.
I want to tell you a story. There was this wealthy family, and they had just remodeled their home. And they decided, they were so proud of their remodel, that they invited the whole congregation and the rabbi as well to come to their house for Shabbat dinner. But they said to everyone, make sure you arrive a little early so that we can give you the grand tour. Well, when everybody arrived, they were waiting out in front. And they said, welcome, welcome, my long driveway. Now come up this master staircase up here, past the pool. Oh, you'll see all of our nice landscaped plants and our water feature over there. And come on inside, please, please come on inside. And as they came in to the home, the family said, here is our crystal mezuzah we got last year when we were in Jerusalem. And please come on in. You will see some master artwork. This could be in museums. It's along all of the walls, down the main corridor. And here, come on in here. Please, please see in the living room our furniture. It's right next to that Steinway piano. Isn't it gorgeous? And if you wouldn't mind taking your shoes off, please, before you step on the handmade Persian rug as well. That would be great. And then we'll show you after that the kitchen with our marble countertop and our new beautiful lighting. And everyone at every point, oohed and awed. What an incredible, beautiful house. Well, they said, you know, we did get the best interior decorator in the entire city, and it cost us a pretty penny, but I think we can all agree it was worth it. And everyone said, absolutely. And even the rabbi said, now this is interior decorating. Well, after dinner, an elderly lady approached the rabbi and asked, Rabbi, if you are not doing anything tomorrow, would you like to come to my house for Shabbos lunch? Well, the rabbi smiled and said, that is such a nice invitation. Sure, I'd be thrilled to. And the next day, after services ended, he made his way to Mrs. Milstein's apartment, went up to the third floor, and saw a little plastic mezuzah on the door and knew it was hers. And he knocked on the door. Mrs. Milstein excitedly opened up the door and welcomed the rabbi into her one-bedroom apartment. She asked the rabbi if she could give a tour of her apartment, and then led him excitedly into the kitchen with an old stove and a little hamsa on the wall and her cherished recipe books. And then the dining room with a picture of Jerusalem in it and some Shabbat candlesticks with melted wax. from the night before dripping down the mantle. She led him down the hallway, past the taped up pictures of her grandchildren and the Rosh Hashanah cards that they had made her, and into her room, and she showed the rabbi her prized possessions. On the windowsill, little tzedakah boxes, pushkas, each one written in marker on it with a piece of tape. B'nai B'rith, Jewish Agency on another one, Federation on another one, and on another one, the synagogue. And each one was full of coins. Now this, Mrs. Milstein proudly told the rabbi, this is interior decorating. So, beyond being a rabbi, Jill and I have been proud to financially give to Congregation Kol Nidre since we arrived in Utah. This community has changed a lot. It's nice to see the room full, but I know that there are people all over the world watching on live stream, and I think we're far enough into our high holiday appeal that you can actually click the skip ad button if you want to resume the service. And we see how this community ensures that every Jew in the Salt Lake Valley and beyond has a place to call home, regardless of their ability to pay. Now, this past year, we have seen our synagogue do more than ever before. When Jill and I arrived here 5 years ago, I remember that well. Our synagogue was at 290 families, and I had seen from when I applied on the application that 5 years earlier, we were at 320 families. We were sadly moving in the wrong direction. This morning, we signed up our 395th family for our congregation. We have grown, even during a pandemic, by more than 30% in 5 years. And our religious school has gone from 115 children to today around 150, including our 2 daughters. We have a synagogue that in the past year sponsored a South Sudanese refugee family and also a 14-year-old girl from Afghanistan who came here by herself with only a violin and a change of clothes and found herself warmly embraced at our synagogue. And if I can brag about her for a moment, she finished her first year of high school with a 3.92 GPA and 4 days ago was elected class president. She is achieving potential that she would never have been able to do in Afghanistan and wouldn't have been able to do if it weren't for Congregation Kol Nidre sponsoring her. We also sponsored and provided volunteers for 2 monthly mobile food pantries that went to schools with underprivileged families experiencing food insecurity. Our synagogue has increased its programming for all demographics, especially senior citizens, with this coming year us doing a trip for people age 60 and better to Atlanta and Alabama in April. And in the past year, we've brought in fascinating speakers, such as a New York Times best-selling author and the head of the world's last remaining shtetl located in Azerbaijan. In the past year, in the face of growing anti-Semitism, our clergy has spoken to thousands of students about Judaism and presented to thousands of adults about how to recognize and combat anti-Semitism here in our state. Simply put, Congregation Kol Nidre is doing more than ever before to make sure Utah is a better place that is aligned with Jewish values. In doing so, our board has courageously put together a budget that this year, I'm not going to lie, anticipates a significant deficit, with the hope that through expanding our staff, our reach, and what we offer to our congregants and the community at large, that more people will support our community in future years. We were projecting a deficit last year too, but you stepped up, and we pretty much knocked that out of the park. and I hope you join in my determination to exceed expectations and not have a deficit this year, and not have to dip into our synagogue savings so that we can ensure that this place is here for another 50 years and longer. I hope you join me and Jill in not only supporting the synagogue at whatever level you can, but like we've decided to do, increase your donation this year to the High Holiday Appeal and consider adding Congregation Kol Nidre to your will. I'm pleased to announce that there's already out there one corporation that has announced a $75,000 match to our High Holiday Appeal, and I'm working with others who may increase this as well. Please, whether through a check or going onto our website, will you reach into your pushka and help us reach and beat our goal this year? We're doing these steps ourselves, Jill and I, because we want to ensure that there is progressive Judaism for our daughters as they grow up in Salt Lake City. And because we want to instill in them from their earliest age to one day, God willing, a long time from now, when we're no longer here, that supporting and sustaining the synagogue so that people of all ages have a place to learn, to pray, and to be supported is an important value that we hope they live by as well. Though we all have our expenses and luxuries in life, can we be like Mrs. Milstein and also invest in our community and its future? Through repentance, prayer, and meaningful charitable giving, whatever that looks like for you, may you be sealed for good in the book of lives well lived. Thank you for your support. And Gemar Hatima Tova. We are going to resume our service on page 223 with Yahweh. page 224, and I'd like to invite David Weinstein and Helen Hu to share with us an English reading in the side margin.
In that strange night, someone asked, "Can you change the past?" And the woman who was ill angrily responded, "The past is not a piece of jewelry sealed in a crystal box, nor is it a snake preserved in a bottle of formaldehyde. The past trembles within the present, and when the present falls into a pit, the past goes with it. When the past looks towards heaven, all of life is upraised, even the distant past." But the lonely man muttered, "Did not Abraham once stride the earth, he who did not seem attached to even the cord of the one who gave him birth?"
Thank you. Page 225. Page 226. We approach your presence with supplication and prayer, and with the words you revealed to Moses, the humble one, long ago. Turn away from wrath and let us nestle under your wings, as it is written in your Torah about the day God descended in a cloud. Overlook sin, blot out guilt, as on the day God stood beside him. Hear our cry, attend to our plea, as on the day he called the name Adonai.
Adonai, Adonai, Elohim Echadun, Erech Apayim, Mirafes el Emen, Natzir Chesed la'anafim, Nasi Avan Nafesha, Echata'ah,
Turn to page 227 for Ki Hine Kahomer.
הנה החומר ביד היוצר, ברצותו מרחיב וברצותו מקצר. ביד המסתק, ברצותו חץ וברצותו מחטט. כי אנחנו בידו בידך, נפרדנו חיינו מותנו, לברית הברית, לברית הברית, ביד דרסן ביד החרש, ברצותו דיבק זהור וברצותו פרש. כי אנחנו בידך בידך, תורק אני ברש, אני ברש, לברית הברית, לברית הברית,
We turn to page 228 and read responsively. Tell me, God, my end, the measure of my days, that I would know how fleeting my life is. Together.
We walk about like empty shells. All our efforts add up to little. We pile up possessions, but don't know how to count our lives.
What then should I hope for, God? Only that you save me from the consequences of my sin.
You observe my walking and lying down. You are familiar with all my ways.
There is no word on my tongue, but that you, God, know it well.
Where can I escape from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence?
I was never concealed from you, even as I was being shaped in hidden places, knit together in the recesses of the earth.
Your eyes saw my informed limbs. They were recorded in your book, fashioned over days. They all belong to you.
It was you who created my innermost ability to feel. You fashioned me in my mother's womb.
Examine me now, God. Look into my heart. Probe me and know my secrets.
If you see within me cause for sadness, guide me toward eternal truths.
Hear my prayer, God. Give ear to my cry. Do not disregard my tears. Like all my forebears, I am a wanderer, a guest in your house.
Make me an instrument of your salvation, that I might be redeemed before I go away and am no more. Page 229, El Melech Yosef.
המלך יושב, הכיסא רחמים. כמו שכתוב, וירד אדוני בענן, ויתייצב עמם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני, הפניו ויקרא.
גבורת חסד ואמת.
I'd like to call up Florence and Richard Evans, as well as Rob and Rachel Lemieux, to open our ark. We are on page 233, Shema Kolenu. And as the ark is open, I will invite you to please rise.
תשליכנו ליציקנו,
You may be seated. Good Yantif. Good Yantif. Thank you. A year ago, I had the opportunity of a lifetime. And that was going to the United Arab Emirates and Israel with the governor and various leaders from Utah as part of a trade mission. Now, when we landed in Dubai, wow, we were greeted by pristinely dressed Emirati customs agents who welcomed us with warm smiles, enthusiastic handshakes, and even handed us a complimentary SIM card as a gift, thanking us for coming and visiting their country. From the moment we landed in the UAE, we were treated like kings. And then there was the experience of landing at Ben Gurion. We were greeted by a crusty, tired-looking agent who looked up at me and went, "Why are you here?" "Well, I'm here for a trade mission." "Hey, next." He asked while ruffling his hands through his hair, just seeming annoyed with us for having the audacity to land in his country. The thing about it, though, was I didn't mind. I actually loved it. It was so blunt, so brash, so Israeli. I'm looking at the Israelis to see if they're laughing. Israel is home. Israel is family. Israel is that relative without the greatest social skills, but who you know will always be there for you. There's no place on earth outside of America that I can go visit and feel as though I'm back where I belong than Israel. One of my favorite parts of being a rabbi is that I have the privilege of visiting Israel regularly. Something I've now done 20 or so times in my life, and having lived there for over a year. Going as often as I do, I'll admit that some of the magic has worn off from my very first visit as a 17-year-old, when I don't think that my feet ever touched the ground. I remember that trip so well. I remember the last hour of that very long flight, having my face pressed up against the window of the plane, anxiously trying to catch a glimpse of the land of Israel. And when I finally saw the golden beaches of Tel Aviv, I felt my heart jump. There I was, fulfilling the dream of my family for thousands of years, setting eyes on the most important place in the world. I remember even praying to God, please, please, let the plane get over the shore. That way, in case it crashes, I could have been in Israel for even a nanosecond. Don't sit next to me on planes. Over this summer, I got to finally, after 4 years of trying due to COVID, lead a congregation Kol Nidre trip to Israel. We did so many incredible things in Israel, from visiting the holy cities of Sfat and Jerusalem, to praying at the Western Wall, to riding camels through the desert, touring Masada, and floating in the Dead Sea. However, believe it or not, the highlight for me was none other than being at Ben Gurion Airport and greeting our group as they cleared customs and seeing the ear-to-ear smiles of some of the people in our community who mean the most to me, and realize that I was witnessing them fulfilling a lifelong dream. Over this trip, we got to see not only the tourist highlights of Israel, but the importance of its existence and the precarious position it is in. At one point, we were on the Lebanese border, looking out with an Israeli tank unit at Hezbollah locations, when the tank unit told us all of a sudden that they had to go, and jumped into their tanks and drove off to a new position to repel advancing Hezbollah militants. A couple days later, Hezbollah fired rockets and sent fires across the border where we had been. I agree strongly with what President Biden said a couple of days ago. Without Israel, not a Jew in the world is secure. With 7 million out of the world's 16 million Jews living in Israel, if you care about Jewish peoplehood, you must care about Israel. If you care about human rights and the Jewish people having a place to go if they are ever in peril, you must support the existence and strength of Israel. If you care about democracy flourishing throughout the world, you must care about the only true democracy in the Middle East. Should Israel cease to exist, that would not only be an unfathomable tragedy for the Jewish people, but for the world entire. Yet Israel's destruction has almost occurred on a few occasions. Most recently, 50 years ago today. It was on Yom Kippur, 50 years ago, that the Syrian and Egyptian militaries did a surprise attack on Israel, and it looked as though the Jewish state might cease to exist. As Yom Kippur arrives a bit earlier over in Israel due to the time zone than it does here, when American Jews went into synagogue, they prayed harder than perhaps they ever had before. And many synagogues asked their congregants to donate to causes helping Israel rather than the high holiday appeal. Today, Israel is in a different situation. Its mighty foe, Egypt, was the first Arab country to courageously sign a peace treaty. It was followed by Jordan, and then most recently, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan. And in recent days, both Israel and Saudi Arabia have shared that they are on the cusp of a peace deal. And if the Saudis do indeed agree to peace, that is going to knock down the whole door where we will see many Arab and Muslim countries follow suit. The Syrians have become too destabilized to pose a major threat to Israel. Of course, there is Iran as a giant regional threat, who are struggling mightily with their own problems right now. 50 years ago on this day, we prayed, not knowing if Israel would survive the onslaught it was facing. And today, there seems to be only one tremendous existential threat to the continued existence of the state of Israel, and that is itself. While we were in Israel, Israel's democracy was attacked by its own Knesset. The Knesset passed a bill as its first step of a much-discussed judicial reform that prevented the Supreme Court from hearing against governmental and administrative decisions. Other steps that are being discussed include making it so that a simple majority vote in the Knesset can override decisions by the Supreme Court, that any judicial review of a legislative decision must be reviewed by the entire court and receive at least 80% of the vote to override it, that government ministries can pick their own legal advisors and choose whether or not to follow legal advice, and that the government will get a majority vote on selection or dismissal of any judges. Israel is a complicated place that certainly needs reforms. After all, the Israeli Declaration of Independence declared that no later than October 1st, 1948, Israel would draft a constitution. And what will come as a shock to nobody, the Jewish state was not able to agree on what the constitution would look like, so Israel remains 75 years later without a constitution. However, what these judicial reforms do is ultimately remove the checks and balances of the government by eliminating the power of the Supreme Court. All this comes after Prime Minister Netanyahu's government passed a bill in the midst of his corruption trial that a sitting prime minister could only be removed due to medical or mental incapacitation. Other laws that the current government has proposed directly affect our community, such as eventually not recognizing non-Orthodox conversions for purposes of making Aliyah, immigration to Israel, and also overriding the Supreme Court's decision last year of not recognizing marriages specifically done in Utah, as thousands of Israelis who cannot be married by the ultra-Orthodox rabbinate or don't wish to be married in this way have been able through our state to get legal online marriage licenses. On top of all else, the current government chose as its Minister of National Security a man who people, and I would agree with them, have described as the Jewish version of a Ku Klux Klansman. The current minister holding this position has bragged about being indicted over 53 times on extremist charges, had a shrine in his house dedicated to Baruch Goldstein, the Jewish terrorist who murdered 29 Palestinian worshipers and injured 125 others, and regularly has made racist and homophobic comments, and on television bragged that he personally had ripped off the hood ornament of Yitzhak Rabin's limousine and said, "We got his car, next we're going to get him," 2 weeks before the late Prime Minister's assassination. In his role as National Security Minister, the Israeli government allocated $276 million for him to establish his own private militia of 2,000 individuals. On this Yom Kippur day, we humble ourselves by recognizing that we are not all powerful. Tomorrow afternoon, we will read from Leviticus 19 the following mitzvot. Do not pervert justice. Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great, but judge your fellow fairly. My friends, while this current Israeli government claims to be the most religious in the state's history, they are directly violating this commandment and are perverting justice in a way that could lead to corruption running rampant and the decimation of rights of minorities and the transformation of the Middle East's only democracy into an authoritarian autocratic state. So what do we do about this? Should we do nothing at all? After all, I have often said that the international community should not dictate to Israel how to defend itself and run its country. because I have the privilege of living in Utah and not worrying about a rocket hitting my house or a suicide bomber blowing themselves up where I get my coffee. I am now a parent to 2 daughters that I love more than life itself. My 7-month-old loves to stick anything that she can grab onto into her mouth. And my 2-year-old has discovered her passion for climbing up things when I have my back turned that she could easily fall off of and hurt herself. Already, I was told you all on Rosh Hashanah that in that town in Italy, men who have daughters live longer. Somebody afterwards told me, yes, but they age faster. I sit up at night and think about all the future fights that we will have when they sneak out of the house someday on a school night to go to a party that they know they're not allowed to go to, or how I'm going to blow my stack when one of them rides on the back of some boy's motorcycle when they're in high school. Sometimes when we love someone, it's appropriate to sit back and let them learn from their own mistakes. But other times, when we really love someone and we see that they are putting their own life in danger, we must say and do something to stop them. A couple verses after the reading of not perverting justice, we also read, "Do not hate a fellow Israelite in your heart. Rebuke your fellow frankly, so you will not share in their guilt. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your fellow as yourself." As Israel is making choices that could lead to its own destruction, we must speak out and do so out of love. This circumstance is different than the defense issues and others, as we see an Israeli government that is undermining its own founding principles of being a democracy dedicated to peace, justice, and protection of minority rights as described in the Declaration of Independence and envisaged by the prophets. A government, rather, that seeks to divide the Jewish people. How does Leviticus 19 begin? With God stating, "Speak unto all the people of Israel, and say to them, you shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." We cannot remain silent. The 7 million Jews of Israel must hear from the 7 million Jews of America. We have already seen that as a consequence of the judicial reform, that foreign investment in Israel dropped by 60% in the first quarter of 2023. We cannot allow the current extreme government to alienate and invalidate progressive and diaspora Judaism so greatly that it leads to our communities becoming less invested physically, emotionally, financially, and spiritually in Israel. Instead, we must be reminded of the story in the Torah where the Israelites were preparing to settle in the land of Israel and were dividing up the land by tribes. 2 tribes, Reuben and Gad, came to Moses and said that they were pretty happy, actually, living outside the land of Israel. And would it be okay if they stayed outside the land instead of following the other tribes? After contemplating the situation, Moses agreed on one condition. Should the people of Israel find themselves in trouble, they must come and stand with their Jewish brethren in defending the land. Today, we must do the same. A majority of Israelis vehemently oppose the judicial reform and Itamar Ben-Gvir's racist rhetoric and militia. Millions of Israelis have gone to the streets crying out in protest. It has been effective too. For when the Israeli Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, declared in March his opposition to the judicial reform, Prime Minister Netanyahu promptly stated that Gallant would be fired. The outcry from the Israeli public was so great that Netanyahu had to retreat from this plan, and Gallant remains in his post to this day. 50 years ago, rabbis pleaded with their congregants to financially support Israel in defending itself against the attacks from the Syrians and the Egyptians. Today, we are calling on you to support Israeli NGOs and organizations that are working hard to preserve Israeli democracy, like Hiddush and the Israel Religious Action Center, among others. In the next World Zionist Organization elections, make sure you vote, and especially vote for groups like that our synagogue endorses, like Artza, the Reform Movement's branch of Zionism, or Merkaz, the conservative movement's branch that promote egalitarianism and Israeli democracy. You can join the protest movement here too by joining groups like USA for Israeli Democracy and helping us found a local chapter of Unacceptable, a nationwide grassroots movement that is emerging among Zionist American Jews committed to saving Israel's democracy and future. Let us remember the words of Israel's national anthem, Hatikva. Od lo avda tikvatenu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, liot abchoshi be'artzenu, Eretz Zion, Yerushalayim. Our hope is not yet lost, the hope of 2,000 years, to be a free people in our land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem. We must not lose hope, and we must do everything we can to ensure that a Jewish democratic state of Israel exists for us and for those who come after us. Gemar Chatima Tova and Am Yisrael Chai. I invite you to please rise. You may be seated. Our service will continue on page 233, and it is my privilege to invite up my good friend Chase Harrington, who I've been to Israel with, to lead us in a reading on the side margin. We'll read responsibly.
As an owl in the desert screams in the night, so I want to be heard, my God.
As a thrush cries as danger nears its nest, so we plead that you attend us.
The eagle circles round and round, higher and higher, to protect its young. Carry us on eagle's wings and guard us from danger.
A dove hovers constantly over its young, never tiring of its task. So let me be nestled in your care.
Spread your wings, carry me, watch over me. Bring me to your holy house on eagle's wings.
Thank you, Chase. We turn to page 234 for Elohinu, Avotinu, and Kianu Amecha.
Eloheinu v'lavateinu v'matenu, silach lanu, mechalanu, kapelanu.
Continue with Tabo.
Eloheinu, Elohe Avotenu, Tavo, Tavo lefanecha, tfilateinu, ve'al titalav, mitchinatenu, שאין אנחנו אספנים וכשי עורב לומר לפניך אדוני אלוהינו אלוהי אבותינו צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו
Turn to page 235. Oh, sorry, I missed one. Read it. Go ahead.
Is it okay?
Yep, go ahead.
Evinu,
You are gracious and compassionate. We are obstinate. You are patient. We are sinful. You are merciful. Our days are a passing shadow, but you are the one who truly is for time without end. Our God and God of our ancestors, hear our prayer. Do not ignore our plea. Our God and God of our ancestors, we are neither so insolent nor so obstinate as to claim in your presence that we are righteous without sin. For we, like our ancestors who came before us, have sinned. We abuse, we betray, we are cruel, we destroy, we embitter, we falsify, we gossip, we hate, we insult, we jeer, we kill, we lie, we mock, we neglect, we oppress, we pervert, we quarrel, we rebel, we steal, we transgress, we are unkind, we are violent, we are wicked, we are extremists, we yearn to do evil, we are zealous for bad causes. Turn to Sargon. We turn to page 236. You have always been known as the one who overlooks transgression. Hear our cry as we stand before you in prayer. Overlook the transgressions of a people turning from transgression. Wipe away our transgressions from your sight. Atayodea. Oh, I'm sorry. We are going to turn then to page 237 for Al-Haq.
Al-Haq שחטאנו לפניך באונס וברצון, ויחיד שחטאנו לפניך באילוץ הלב.
We have sinned against you unwillingly and willingly, and we have sinned against you through hardening our hearts.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בבגידה, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בביטוי שפתיים.
We have sinned against you thoughtlessly, and we have sinned against you in idle chatter.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בגילוי עריות, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בגלוי ובסתר.
We have sinned against you through sexual immorality, and we have sinned against you openly and in private.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בדעת ובמרמה, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בדיבור ופה.
We have sinned against you knowingly and deceitfully, and we have sinned against you when we talk.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בהונאת ראייה, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בהרהור הלב.
We have sinned against you by defrauding others, and we have sinned against you in our innermost thoughts.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בבעידת זנות, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בווידוי פה.
We have sinned against you through forbidden choice, and we have sinned against you through empty confession.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בזלזול הורים ומורים, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בזדון ובשגגה.
We have sinned against you by scorning parents and teachers, and we have sinned against you purposely and by mistake.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בחוזק יד, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בחילול השם.
We have sinned against you by resorting to violence, and we have sinned against you by public desecration of your name.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בטומאת שפתיים, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בטיפשות הפה.
We have sinned against you through foul speech, and we have sinned against you through foolish talk.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים.
We have sinned against you through pursuing the impulse to evil, and we have sinned against you unwittingly and wittingly. Together, for all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. Page 238, the cantor will lead us in the first lines in Hebrew. We will do the indentation in English.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בפריקת אור, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות.
We'll do both. We have sinned against you by throwing off all restraint, and we have sinned against you by rashly judging others.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בזיעת ראייה, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין.
We have sinned against you by plotting against others, and we have sinned against you through selfishness.
החטא והחטא שחטאנו לפניך, בקלות ראש, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך, בקשיות עורף.
We have sinned against you through superficiality, and we have sinned against you through stubbornness.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך, בריצת רגליים להרע, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך, ברכילות.
We have sinned against you by rushing to do evil, and we have sinned against you through gossip.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך, בשבועת שווא, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך, בשנאת חינם.
We have sinned against you through empty promises, and we have sinned against you through baseless hatred.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך, בתשומת יד, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך, בתימהון לבב.
We have sinned against you by betraying trust, and we have sinned against you by succumbing to confusion. For all these sins, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, and grant us atonement. We're going to turn to page 241, and I'd like to invite Dove DeLay to lead us in a reading at the bottom of the page.
Birth is a beginning. This prayer, written by Alvin Fine, has been reprinted in numerous paperbacks. It reflects on the human condition and understands that each moment constitutes a stage in a journey. At best, a pilgrimage, images that are descriptive of a contemporary religious stance for many people. We are on the way to holiness, to the experience of the divine, but we can never claim a full achievement of the religious life. The Vidui confession that we have just recited makes us aware of our failings and of our vulnerabilities, but we can emerge with renewed dedication to finding our way, to discovering our own particular path to holiness. The prayer appears here in a slightly adapted version and with a Hebrew translation by Alan Latovsky. Birth is a beginning, and death is a destination, and life is a journey, from childhood to maturity, to youth to age, from innocence to awareness, and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until, looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies, not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death is a destination, and life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage.
Thank you, Dove. We're on page 242 for Rahmana. Thank you, Cantor. I'd like to thank our cantors, Kelly and Shelby, and our choir this evening, as well as our staff, volunteers, board members, and Salt Lake City Police Department being here to keep us safe. I'd like to invite our president of our board, trustees, John Mertens, to share with us some announcements.
And hopefully the announcements are right up here.
Yep. Well, there's nothing really going on this week here, so.
Not much is happening. Lunch tomorrow?
Yeah, Yom Kippur lunch tomorrow. Well, Maria, do we have announcements or? All right, I got to revise my apology at the beginning of the service.
You want to do announcements?
Sure.
After, down here?
That's right. I'll give you on one foot. Tomorrow's Yom Kippur. Our traditional conservative service is going to no, that's not it. No, we're sweating up here. No, that's from another week, I think. That's.
Should have Yom Kippur services in here.
Anybody got a good joke?
Or a bad
We have that. Thanks, Lori. Anyhow, we have it. Thank you, everybody, for coming up. But anyways, tomorrow, 8:45, up in the Mountain View Sanctuary, there are services. Our traditional conservative service will be up there. Our Reformed Progressive service will begin in this room at 9 o'clock, and at approximately 10:15, right, for Yom Kippur as well, we will all come together in this room for the Torah service. At 12 o'clock and at 2 o'clock, Carl Smoot is going to be doing a presentation and a breakout session on how to work through difficult relationships and how to forgive in relationships of people who are meaningful to us. Steve LaBelle at 2 o'clock will be talking about the Israel justice reform. And also at 12 o'clock, I believe, Jason, it's 12, right? Jason Weezy, Ken Geber, and one other person who's...
Tom Barman.
Thank you, Tom Barman, are going to be doing a presentation on AI, and will we control AI, or will AI control us? Mincha is at 5:30, not 4:30 as was sent out to you all, and then Yizkor will be at around 6:45, with us going into at 7:15 Ne'ilah. All of that should conclude with Havdalah at 8 o'clock, and you're welcome to join us here at 8:10 p.m. for Break the Fast. Following that, we are going to be this coming Friday. Please join our many new members for in the Sukkah for our new member and member appreciation Shabbat. Please come and welcome them to our community. On Sunday, there is going to be a Sukkot social for all people at 7 o'clock for all adults 21 and over. And then the following week, we're going to have a Rosh Chodesh event, I believe, on Monday, correct? Is it Monday? Tuesday, October 3rd, so close. And on Thursday at 12:15, there will be a seniors lunch and learn here at the synagogue. And that evening, a young professionals, 20s and 30s, for a sushi making course taught by one of our members who's a sushi cook, a sushi chef, with our annual sushi sake in the sukkah. Please also thank you so much for giving to our High Holiday Appeal. We are very grateful for all your support. Anything else I missed?
No, I think that's check your program like I was doing, just to make sure all of that's correct.
Great. Photographic memory. So there you go.
And tomorrow we'll do announcements from a traditional announcement sheet. I hope.
If not, I got it up here.
Right. If not, we'll wing it again.
There you go. All right. John, outstanding job with those announcements. Thank you. I was recently at a thing with our Latter-day Saints friends, and one of the leaders of the church came up to Jill and was like, "Does your husband have a photographic memory or something?" And she's like, "Well, the doctors described it as, diagnosed it as something else, but you could call it that." We're going to turn to page 243 for Avinu Malkeinu, and I would like to invite up Gary and Nancy Stranick, as well as Barry Skolnick and Andrew Gruber, for the honor of opening our ark. And I would like to invite you all to please rise. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Atanu lefanecha
Continue in English midway through page 243. Avinu Malkeinu, frustrate the plots of our enemies. Together. Avinu Malkeinu, rid us of every oppressor and adversary. Avinu Malkeinu, rid your covenanted people of disease, war, hunger, captivity, and destruction. Avinu Malkeinu, forgive and pardon all our sins. Avinu Malkeinu, do not look toward our sins and transgressions. Blot them out.
Avinu Malkeinu, return us to your presence, fully penitent.
Avinu Malkeinu, send complete healing to the sick among your people.
Avinu Malkeinu, remember us favorably.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for good in the book of life.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of sustenance.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of merits.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of forgiveness.
Avinu Malkeinu, Sachreinu, Vizikaroneton, Lifanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Kodveinu, Besefer, Chaim Tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu,
Avinu Malkeinu, Kodveinu, Besefer, Zichuyot. Avinu Malkeinu, Kodveinu, Besefer Zichuyot, Besefer Zichuyot.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kodveinu, Besefer Zichuyot.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koneinu, Uspirachem Aleinu, Rachem Aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, cause our salvation to flourish soon.
Avinu Malkeinu, cause your people Israel to be exalted.
Avinu Malkeinu, raise up your anointed with strength.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice, be kind, sympathize with us.
Avinu Malkeinu, accept our prayer willingly and lovingly.
Avinu Malkeinu, do not turn us away empty-handed.
Avinu Malkeinu, remember that we are but dust.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion for us, our infants and our children.
Avinu Malkeinu, do this for the sake of those who were martyred for your holy name.
Avinu Malkeinu, do this for the sake of those who were slaughtered for their exclusive devotion to you.
Avinu Malkeinu, do this for the sake of those who went through fire and water to sanctify your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, do this for your sake, if not for ours.
Avinu Malkeinu, have mercy on us, answer us, for our deeds are insufficient. Deal with us charitably, lovingly, and redeem us.
Avinu
May close the ark. Here. Thank you. Page 245 for Kaddish Shalem. You may be seated. Amen. Amen. Turn to page 246 and rise for Aleinu. I'd like to invite the Levin family to come on up and open our ark for us. Come on up. Come on up. You're a pro at this now, so there you go. Go ahead.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ten gidulav yotzeh b'reishit, shelo asanu gidulei haratzon, velo asananu כי המלכות שלך היא ולעולמך תמלוק בכבוד, רק כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני לך, ושמו,
You may be seated. Mourners and those observing Yortzeit are invited to rise. We are on page 247, or if it's your tradition, do so. Yikadah, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alman divrach kirute, v'yimlich malchute, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye deho be'Israel. Ba'agala v'zman karib v'imru.
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabbah Barak Olam Maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei dekudisha b'richu. Le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Miram Be'almah V'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi Shlama Rava Min Shemaya. V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Osei Shalom Bimromav. Huyasei Shalom. Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Source peace and peace to all who are mourning. Comfort those of you who are bereaved. May you find peace and healing in this year. And for all of us, may we find growth and renewal and forgiveness in this year as we are on an ever-continuing journey to improve ourselves and improve the world we live on. And I hope that we see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here this evening and being a part of our community. We are going to conclude on page 250 with the words of Yigdal.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא בעיני היתר מציאותו. אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו. שפע גבורתו נתנו, אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו.
יקם בישראל כמשה עוד נביא, ומביט את אמונתו.
תורה אמת נתן לעם אוהב, על יד נביאו למען ביתו. לא יחל ישראל ולא ימיד דתו,
איש חסד כפרי פלא, נתן לרשע רע כרשעתו.
ישלח לקץ ימים משיחנו, לפתוח מחכה קץ ישועתו. מיטיב יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שתהילתו. מיטיב יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שתהילתו.
L'shana tova techatemu. May you all be sealed for a good year.